in a mysterious place where the paper printing process was taking place. It was the Sachsenhausen in Germany. So the prisoners and the prison guards forged British bank documents. In 1949, the German government counterfeited hundreds of millions of pounds. They planned to smuggle counterfeit money into Britain, as it was the last country in Western Europe to stand firm against fascism. This huge amount of money would collapse the British economy and help Germany win. So the train cars were loaded with suitcases. On November 19, 1940, at the Birmingham Small Arms Factory in England, a girl said goodbye to her friends and returned to her place while it was commotion outside. Her name was Agnes, and it was her birthday today. The girls in the workshop gathered to celebrate Agnes' birthday. But then a bomb fell, and the place exploded everything. A man had just entered his house. Every day, he used his rifle to hunt birds, and then he visited his old friend Tom. He recounted the chaotic situation unfolding in Birmingham, full of anxiety. Looking at Tommy's calm attitude made him feel confused. Then he told me that while he was there, one of the Bamber women recognized him from the old days. She asked what had happened to Tommy Shelby. She called Tom Giambardo and the king of the Gigants. The friend had told her that Tommy Shelby had retired to hiding and was writing a book. Then the old friend left, and Tommy was indeed sitting down to write a document. Tom doesn't feel lonely when he's alone. He has often walked in the garden alone since the death of his daughter Ruby while playing in the garden. He only found her scarf in the branch of a tree that he hadn't seen before. It feels like her soul is always around. Tommy took that scarf to visit his author brother. After confiding a few sentences, the friend reported that Tommy's sister came to talk because she couldn't call her brother. So Tommy left instead of letting his sister into the house. As soon as he got into the car, he asked what Tommy refused, while everyone needed him to be an MP, knowing that his brother is still hanging around in ghosts and doesn't care about his son. Ada's sister was also discouraged because her brother didn't even listen to the radio. Ada says that her illegitimate son Dirk is Tommy's Gigan, running Peaky Blinders just like it was in 1919. It's just that it's worse than when Tommy and his brother did. Ada hoped that her brother would come with her and say goodbye to the people at the grave. However, Tommy explained that he had been hallucinating since the author left. That event leading the way, of course, is Dirk's son, who is still confident that he is backed by the Birmingham Police Department to recover the weapons. Make the people there want to protest, because it feels unreasonable. So Dirk took the stick and taught him a lesson. It was the spark for his juniors to also rise. And so a small clash occurred. After the warning, Dirk called his juniors to withdraw. Before getting into the car, he ordered his juniors to collect all the guns and get himself a good tree. Ada went back to the city and picked up her son, who had just prepared a wreath for the PSA factory. But she knew they only needed Tommy. Just in the evening, Ada ate just because of what the Peaky Blinders made, because they thought their family members had the same intestines. After that incident, Dirk went to a pub to have fun, where he believed that a guy from London was looking for him, so he also came to see him. As soon as he saw Mr. Dirk, he announced that the ship was docking. He also showed him the fake £5 coin. And the newspaper has another 350 million being prepared. Peaky Blinders is a big gang, so it is entitled to £70 million to use as much as you want. So Dirk pulled out a gun to show that he wanted to direct the money laundering. However, if you engage in this act of treason against Germany, there will be changes. Tommy had just come home and saw someone entering his house, so he called his friend Johnny's name, but he was nowhere to be found. Instinctively, he took the short shelves in the closet and began to trace the papers on the instruction table. Tommy saw a woman reading a book he had written. He pointed a gun at her, and she explained that she had only opened the window to free some souls. She had come to pass the word on to John Bezo because she had heard that he was writing something. Tommy's memories rushed back to make him feel that this figure was very familiar. This is Jorda's sister, who Tommy used to know. Her name was Carlo, and she knew that Tommy had slept with his sister at the club. She gave birth to Dirk, Tommy's illegitimate child. Carlo said Tom was in trouble because of the spirits he had sent away. Seeing that Tom didn't care about Dirk, she told him directly that he was colluding with bad people and that they would be able to destroy the Zigan people like Carlo. She made it a condition that if Tommy agreed to save Dirk, she and her sister would help Tom to be safe. Suddenly, his best friend Johnny ran in with a gun because he saw the door and window of Tom's house open. So he helplessly told Johnny to go cook porridge with the two birds and then hunt it. It turns out that Carlo is the head of the Ziegenbarmer branch. She invokes the spirit to help women who lost their husbands and sons in the war, making Johnny afraid that Tom will be taken advantage of by her pain. Ada wants to see Dirk, but her grandfather, however, Dirk arrogantly mentions the deceased family members and thinks that his aunt will be as crazy as his father. So Ada sarcastically told Dirk that he would never have a family, and he confidently asserted that he didn't need it. So his aunt was also bored and left Charlie and Curly brought in the heavy snow. Seeing this, Ada informed Charlie that Dirk had mixed weapons from the government warehouse this morning, and the sheriff of Bellingham was the one who issued the written permission for it. So tomorrow Ada will go to the military police barracks because there's a flour mixing incident. She needed to go there to ask for witnesses. But Charlie stopped him for Ada's safety. He knew there was only one person who could stop Dirk, but now he was writing a book. In that fateful year of 1914, Tom and Arthur's brother volunteered to join the tunneling brigade. The army dug up the land and dug into the enemy's front line. The tunnel was also full of nightmares. That night, Carlo found a red scarf again. She brought it back to Tom and said she had met it by accident. She sat down to talk and suddenly felt like Jella had entered her sister to talk. Jella says she borrowed her sister so she can talk to Tommy because she needs to talk to him. She only told Tom what her brother said on the condition that Tommy agreed to go save their son. Of course, Tommy still doesn't agree, so Jella wants to save Tommy and wants him to get out of there. By recalling the memory of Tommy and Jella making love under a tree on the day of the meeting to create Dirk. That night the bombs exploded the group, making Dirk soak quietly, and Tom and the other woman enjoyed themselves in bed. Because of the bombs, people had to concentrate to take shelter in the bunkers. At that time, Ada stood up to report that Dirk Shelby had mixed up the factory's weapons. She realizes there are witnesses there and wants them to come forward to help her stop Dirk. On the other side, Dirk meets a man named Virgil who will help Dirk distribute money throughout the country, but also has to check on Dirk. So this son also came up with a plan that he would receive money by arranging 3 ships on the canal. Dirk was confident that the train riders were his relatives, and he insisted that his relatives would agree. Mr. Virgil was apprehensive, but when he heard Dirk's insistence, he praised the good plan. Then Virgil received the news that he had talked secretly with his mistress, so he was excluded from the affair. While he was confused and wanted to speak, Dirk was stunned, causing him to leave with 2 shots. The other man reminded Dirk to make a few more shots to be sure, so he listened. The man began to praise Dirk as someone he could work well with, and reminded that tomorrow Dirk must take the ship to Liverpool to receive the money. And now, the guy has to find a way to kill the other guy, and the other guy goes first. On the other side, Tommy slowly soaked after being with a woman for a long time. The new woman said that her brother had told him he wasn't alone that night when Tommy reacted strongly. Everyone believed that Arthur had passed away on the bridge on his own, but Tommy didn't want to hear about it. Tommy always wanted to escape from that reality. So Tommy told me that there was fog at that time. Tommy found him injured, but still aggressive because of an opium overdose. Tommy called it an accident, and that was the moment the door in his head opened. So the woman who sat down to comfort Tommy and encourage her to save her brother or daughter could save her son. On the other side, Dirk was tired of dealing with the other man by dragging him to the pigsty, and the pigs around. Suitcases containing 5 pounds are also shipped. The next morning Tommy woke up and saw no more of the woman. He retrieved the red scarf and placed it on his brother Arthur's grave. Then he started to put on his dapper clothes again to leave like that to regain his form. Johnny saw Tommy take the car and go to Bellingham to find his son, and he got in the car with his best friend. On the other side, Dirk had just woken up by the bed and saw that his clothes were still full of distortions, and he pondered. Then he dealt with it by burning it in the fire that was still in the pigsty. The man came to Dirk again. He feared that he would have to be killed again because last night a Nazi supporter was in the bunker. And Ada was there too. Her grandmother is taking witness testimony against Dirk for arms theft. If Ada left that evidence, Dirk would be eaten up. Hearing the choice between 70 million pounds or a waste, Dirk also understands. In addition to the fact that the old man reminded Dirk to make him proud, the situation was also certain. Tom and his friend on the other side, Ada set off again for Monty Street. Suddenly, Dirk stands up to his aunt because she is about to present evidence. He just walked into a garment factory without greeting anyone. The guy takes a shortcut so that he can follow Miss Ada. He also hid in his phone booth to prepare his gun tremblingly. Then he began to follow Miss Ada to Monty Street. But he did not dare to let the old man be stunned. He told Dirk that he had disappointed him and left. Dirk and his cousin were, and then she showed up to block Tommy's car while he was on his way. Seeing that scene, he also realized that his sister had an affair. He immediately went to Ada's house and received the news of his sister's death. So Tom asked his friend to go to the morgue next to his brother, and he left alone, unarmed. Tom went to the pub to talk to the owner. Because the music was turned off, everyone in the restaurant began to freeze. A man stood up and asked Tommy if he wanted to jump and joke. The young black recognized him as Tommy Shelby and warned people not to use weapons. But the other guy still jokingly wanted Tommy to turn on the music to dance. Then Tommy pulled out a gun and said he was looking for his son. Dirk is then captured by his father, causing him to roll around in the dirty pig robbers. The father and son punched each other in a pig robbery so that Dirk could reveal who saw off Ada. So the son also said that the person drove the killing snare with 3 bullet holes. He came to me and made a plan of things. Tommy then went to the morgue to see his sister. There, his friend Johnny seemed to understand that Tom had already met his son. Suddenly, he said to give me a gun so that I could go see him see off his sister. He guessed he would come because he knew he would come to say goodbye to his sister. Tom knew he would want to see him off before he did, and he asked Johnny to tell his son to bring the stolen guns to the beach. Johnny wants to stay with Tommy, but Tommy urges him to go. He then came to confess to his sister that he was the one who saw Arthur off. It wasn't an accident or a fatal act at all. He saw him off in a mad drunkenness to get rid of his brother. Then the only person left in the house left in tears of pain. In the meantime, the old man brought the tree to a horse pagoda. Then Tom was there to fight him. The two hid behind wooden planks to huddle together. The old man began to manipulate Tommy into thinking that he was doing a good thing, but simply being human. But Tommy didn't listen, and he said the name of his gun correctly, knowing he was running out of ammo. Suddenly, he fired another shot to distract Tommy. He used his horse to shield himself and escaped. He rode into the city on a horse in a stained costume. Make everyone look at him. On the other side, he was drinking wine in the ruins. Then Carlo came to him to talk. She tells her about his mother's spirit to meet her, but Dirk doesn't want to hear it, thinking it's for nonsense magic. But she still says his father will save him, so now Dirk has a choice. She advises Dirk to listen to his father and stay close to him. Then she handed him a bullet with Tommy's name engraved on it and advised him that he wanted to be safe. It seems that Dirk realizes that he has lost his way and begins to listen. That night Tommy rode in the mist. He went to see Carlo again, and she said she had met Dirk and that he wanted to help him. But he said nothing and showed that he needed a Gigant's four-wheeler and then pulled his horse and left. Dirk sat inside worriedly when he saw his father riding by. He thought about it and then tossed a coin. Well, he finally got his answer. When Dirk heard his father's question, he also affirmed that he wanted to help him see off the person who had harmed Ada. So he went to the other place to meet Charlie and his glass in a clean state. It was he who poured gasoline on a pile of firewood. They cremated poor Ada, and everyone was heartbroken for her. That spectacle. It's Dirk who calls to tell me that he knows he's ruined it, but that he can help him. He said he was looking for the old man and knew where he was. He said he would contact him when he arrived at Liverpool. Then the old man also understood that Dirk wanted 70 million as before. Hearing this, he immediately agreed to close. Then Johnny came to report that someone claiming to be the king of Liverpool Pier wanted to see him. Sir Tech announced the dock accommodation for Tommy and bribed the staff to get the diagram for him. According to Tom, he also came to Liverpool because there were some problems to be solved. When Dirk's 2 trucks arrive, Tom introduces him as his son. Tommy says he decided to trust his son, which gives Dirk an embarrassed look at his father. Then everyone started looking at the diagram and the plan. Dirk came in to announce that the goods had been loaded and everyone was also safe to move. Then Tommy sat on the train and also wrote a book. He believed that tonight was Dirk's decisive night. Johnny had told Charlie that Tom had left with 5 packs of explosives and a mine. But he knew that there was a directive, so he did not move. That night, he was in a corner again while sawing the tunnel. And before he left, he wanted to read his fingers. But she only talks about the past, not the future. When asked about the future, she didn't say anything, but just said that Tommy needed to be at peace. By the time he pulled out the gun, Carlo knew his intentions had been exposed. From the moment she set foot on Tommy's ground and asked Johnny about the situation, she understood. There was also a black bird flying into the house. Exposed, Carlo was also. The Dirk child stood in a corner and left. At Liverpool, Tom was there. The Dirk was now at the old man's base. Tommy had gone into that tunnel. Dirk was standing next to the old man, but restless. According to Dirk's betrayal, 3 ships entered the ship from the tunnel. He also told the old man that the other side would carry 2 types of guns. Then everyone on the other side had just arrived. Dirk suggested that the old man preemptively strike overwhelmingly so that he could eliminate them before they opened fire. So the old man felt satisfied again and ordered everyone to go on a mission to Hitler for many years. Meanwhile, Tommy walked in the tunnel. His teammates were outside waiting for his boss to give orders. As he walked, he remembered the scene when he fought. Those images surrounded him, but he kept going. The bomb also caused the tunnel to collapse, and then the sand fell on him. Dirk was offered a drink, but nervously looked at the clock. The old man also took a sip of wine and looked at him. Then his handlers laid out a long line of waiting. The ships of his teammates also hid in the bunker for only 5 minutes until 12 o'clock. The images that haunt him still surround him. But he didn't give up and finally got out of there. Seeing himself in the end, there were only 4 minutes left. Tommy hurriedly ran. He went out to burn something and hid behind it. Tom was trying to climb up the tunnel. Seeing the people on the boat running, the soldiers began to shoot continuously. So the man jumped out of the ship and successfully dived into the sea. At exactly 12 o'clock, the ship docked and exploded. So the old man pointed a gun at Dirk and cursed him as Gigan. It turns out that but he did not listen and was determined to side with him. When the old man was laughing, Dirk said that his father was gone, either. Then suddenly an explosion took place in the sky, causing him to faint. Tommy finally managed to get inside. His comrades also attacked. The man was able to get ashore. So Dirk also left the place to escape. He finally met his father and blamed him for being a few minutes late. The 2 fathers and sons clearly care about each other, but they keep being demented. Tommy made a very strange-looking square device. It was a bomb that he made himself to blow up. It turned out that he burned all the counterfeit money like fireworks. When the old man woke up, it was also the time to see the money burn to the ground. He drove away angrily. Tommy was standing in front of his curve, heading downwards. Surprisingly, he was the first to fire 2 shots at Tom, but he stood firm to head him in the head. Tom chose to stand there and wait for the car to rush to leave. But then Dirk ran over and pushed his father away so that the car crashed into a pillar. The comrades who came to see that scene were also shocked, but because they saw the father and son like that, they didn't speak up. Tom wants his son to use the same bullet, so he also gritted his teeth and squeezed the grass. Tom finally rewinded his beautiful memories, and then he passed away in front of everyone's mourning. Dirk was silent about his father's body. People honor Tommy Shelby as immortal. It was Dirk's hand that held the relics that his father left to put in his coffin. In the will, Tom left property to each person. Finally, he said to burn himself and let his bones fly freely in the wind. That moment made everyone heartbroken for the immortal to leave.